In 1993, Annie McCarrick, a 26-year-old American woman, vanished in Ireland, a case that has puzzled investigators for nearly 30 years. On March 26, 1993, she was last sighted wearing a dark tweed jacket, oxblood cowboy boots, and carrying a tan shoulder bag as she left her Dublin apartment for a trip to the Wicklow Mountains. Despite exhaustive search efforts by authorities, Annie was never found. The circumstances surrounding her disappearance remain enigmatic, with various persons of interest identified over time, yet no charges have ever been brought forth. Annie McCarrick, a 26-year-old American woman residing in Sandymount, Dublin, vanished on Friday, March 26, 1993. Originally from Bayport, Long Island, New York, Annie had moved to Ireland in 1987 to pursue teaching at St. Patrick's College. After a stint back in New York in 1990, she made the decision to return to Ireland in early 1993. The day of her disappearance unfolded like any other. She reached out to her friend Anne O'Dwyer, hoping to invite her for a hike in the Dublin and Wicklow Mountains. Sadly, Anne had injured her foot and was unable to join Annie. At that time, Annie's housemates had already departed for their rural homes for the weekend, leaving her alone in the apartment. According to a report from one of her housemates, Annie was spotted sitting up in bed, knitting, around 11 a.m. that morning. She had purchased 2 tickets to a theater performance in anticipation of her mother's upcoming visit the following week, displaying her excitement to reunite with her. Following her knitting session, Annie embarked on errands in town. She visited her bank and then went grocery shopping, preparing for her promised baking session at Café Java on Lesson Street the next day. Upon returning home around 3 p.m., she swiftly left again at approximately 3:15 p.m., as noted by a plumber named Bernard Sheeran, who was working there at the time. Notably, Annie left her recently purchased groceries unpacked, including perishable items like butter and milk, which she intended to use for baking, an action deemed peculiar given her plans. Annie was then spotted by a fast food restaurant owner walking along New Grove Avenue towards a bus stop. Annie then boarded the number 18 bus, heading towards the upmarket Dublin suburb of Ranelagh. Here, she would board the number 44 bus that would bring her to the picturesque village of Enniskerry in the Dublin and Wicklow Mountains. Annie was spotted by an ex-co-worker by the name of Imiar O'Grady, who was also queuing for the 44 bus. Imiar would later tell Garda that she had called out to say hello to Annie, but that she was ignored. The woman she believed to be Annie would ascend the stairs to sit in the upper area of the bus and disappear from view. She noted this was out of character for Annie, who was normally outgoing and very friendly but didn't think much of it. Imiar exited the bus before Annie, and this was the last confirmed sighting of her. It should be noted that the bus would have arrived in Enniskerry at around 5 p.m., which would have been very late to start hiking in the mountains, as sunset that day would have been at around 6:15 p.m. One major detail that has baffled Garda is that absolutely nobody in the small and quaint town of Enniskerry remembers seeing anyone who matched Annie's description that day. She was a 5'8" woman with long, curly hair, a recognizable tweed coat, and a distinctive American accent. Annie should have stood out like a sore thumb, but nobody saw her. A local who worked in the post office believed that she had sold stamps to a woman who she later believed was Annie, but couldn't be certain. The post office didn't have CCTV cameras, so no footage exists that could support this claim. A security guard at the popular Johnny Fox's pub came forward later on to state that he saw Annie with an unidentified male in the pub that evening. He described the man as roughly 5'9", between the ages of 24 to 28, clean-shaven, athletic build, brown hair, and square-jawed. But he had never seen the man in the pub before. Another guard, Paul O'Reilly, told Garda that he believed he had seen Annie there at 9:30 p.m. that night in the lounge. This has been brought into question. However, as it's 5 miles from Enniskerry to Fox's, and the night that she went missing was extremely wet with torrential rain. How would she have traveled the distance there, in adverse weather, with little to no protection from the elements? To this day, Annie's whereabouts remain a mystery, with no clues unearthed and no suspects apprehended. However, on March 26, 2023, marking the 30th anniversary of her disappearance, the Garda made a significant announcement. They elevated the case from a missing person investigation to a murder inquiry, speculating that Annie may never have left Sandymount on that fateful day and was instead the victim of foul play by someone acquainted with her in the area. Several factors support this theory. Firstly, the discovery of perishable groceries left unpacked in bags suggests that she had only briefly stepped out with the intention of returning, possibly to meet someone. Secondly, a colleague recalled encountering a person resembling Annie who did not respond to greetings, which was considered out of character for her. This raises the possibility of mistaken identity, casting doubt on Annie's purported movements. Additionally, considering Annie's reputation as a resourceful and sensible individual, it seems improbable that she would venture out ill-prepared into inclement weather without proper attire or an umbrella. The notion that she would abandon her plans, forsake her groceries, and embark on a lengthy journey to a remote pub in Enniskerry, especially in darkness and heavy rain, appears unsubstantiated given her usual demeanor and habits. In a recent update, the Garda have honed in on two brothers as potential key figures in Annie's disappearance. As reported by Dublin Live, this development comes after months of speculation, with the siblings now emerging as prime suspects in Annie's presumed murder. Sources close to the investigation indicate that the pair is the central focus of the intensified murder inquiry. Allegations suggest that one of the brothers may have been involved in stalking and assaulting Annie, a student teacher, shortly before her vanishing from South Dublin in March 1993. While both siblings have previously been questioned by law enforcement, neither has been formally arrested. Nevertheless, officers are actively constructing a case against them based on available evidence. As we conclude this video, we're left with haunting questions about Annie McCarrick's disappearance. Remember to subscribe to our channel for more updates on this case and others like it. Your support means a lot to us. Share your thoughts and opinions in the comments section below. Don't forget to give this video a like if you found it informative. Thank you for watching, and together, let's continue to seek justice for Annie.